Blessings, loves. This is Mimi, and this is gonna be our very first official YouTube video. And I just feel like before I start diving into teaching certain things, I have to sit down and share a little bit of my story and how I overcame a spiritual attacks and turned that into mystic falls. Now, by no means is this to expose anyone or to... I'm not in the business of doing anything like that. That's just not me. And I also have to... I've always been like a little bit skeptical about sharing this with, you know, all of you, because I have to also protect a few people that I still love and I'm still close to as well. So that's why I never really talk about it publicly. I have shared, you know, part of it on, you know, well, most of it on Patreon with a close group of people, but not with everyone, okay? I don't know why I decided to come out here and record this on a day that it's raining, but I am outside and it is raining. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of what happened. Well, I would say the most difficult thing that ever happened to me, and how I overcame that and turned that into, you know, mystic falls. First, let me just say, like, I didn't grow up around like hatred or jealousy or envy. I never experienced or saw that, to be honest, like growing up. My mother's friends were always kind to her. They weren't like, if they were talking bad or doing any type of hate, then they were good at hiding it. Okay, because I never saw that. I never experienced that. So I myself never had any friends who were like hateful or envious to the point where they would want to hurt me. So I was never exposed to those things, okay? Like, I remember growing up, you know, like my mom's friends used to watch us. You know, they never did anything malicious to any of us. They used to take us to school. They were never like, they treated me like I was their own. So I grew up thinking that, okay, well, people just like me. I just never experienced like anyone who could hate me to the point where they would want to harm me. I've never had that growing up. My mother never had that. My father never had that. Everyone in our circle was just always, you know, positive and loving and helpful and supportive. Okay? You know, like I had witnessed growing up, I had witnessed, you know, my mom being under spiritual attack. But that's not my story to tell. But for me, things took a turn when I joined my spiritual house. I'm not going to tell you guys how I joined. If you guys want to know that, let me know and I'll be more than happy to like tell y'all. But we're just going to focus on what happened. So when I joined the house, everyone was kind. Everyone was loving. My mom was skeptical because growing up, whenever I was exposed to spiritual people, was always with her and her sister, my aunt. So whenever they were going out to handle business, if you know what I mean, then, you know, I would accompany them sometimes. So whenever I was exposed or in that environment, that spiritual environment with like spiritual people, they were always around until I left my mother's house to go to college. Okay, now when I moved away, there's a lot that I had already like knew about spirituality, because I was blessed enough to have a person, a hogan, who sat me down and told me, this is who you are, this is what you have, and things like that. So I was blessed to have that. But I never got to a point where I was, deep into it. I just knew how to do certain things, how to communicate with them. Like I just knew who I was, So I moved away to college, and at the time I was still, doing certain things for my spirits. I was still doing certain things for myself. And from time to time, I would go see my family. Then I was exposed to that too. Like I said, everyone was lovely. Everyone was supportive. There were no signs whatsoever that people didn't like me. Okay, everyone was kind. Whenever I come around, it was hugs and kisses and hi sis, because once you in a house and you've been initiated or you've had certain things done for you, you are now a spiritual daughter of the elders of the house, and their spiritual kids are also your spiritual brothers and sisters. So everyone was always kind until I joined the board. So I'm the type of person, whenever I'm in a place, if I see something that needs to be done, I'll take initiative and just do it. Not because I'm trying to like step over anyone's toes or take anyone's job. That was just the type of person that I am. If I see something that needs to be done, then I will do it. So my spiritual mother saw that in me, and whenever she had things going on, I was just always there assisting and helping. And she said, the house was very structured. Let me just say that, go back, sorry. So the house was very structured. We had a board, right? So there were members who were a part of like leadership or like the board, if you would say. And my spiritual mother saw that in me, and they had to do re-election. So she said, well, why don't you go? We're gonna have re-election. You're always around, you're always helping. Why don't you go for this position? It's a non-profit, so it's not a paid position, okay? You basically doing things for, you're not getting paid. And because I was already so involved and I was doing a lot, I decided to, take her advice and go for the role. By no means did I think to myself, oh, I'm stepping on anyone's toes or I'm stealing anyone's position, because to me it was nothing. It was nothing because you wasn't paid. So it's not like I was taking food out of anyone's mouth. Okay, so I took the role, and I would say that's when things started going left. That's when I started getting the jealousy, getting the evil eye, getting work done on me by people for whatever reason, I don't know. So things were happening for years. I did not care because I knew who I was. I knew where I came from, and I just was never scared. Okay, and so nothing ever happened. Even though people would do like work on me, nothing happened. I did notice like my spirits will come and tell me certain things, and sometimes just to confirm, because I've never had issues with anyone, I never took it serious. So when it kept happening, I decided to go to my spiritual father, and I requested a reading. So doing my divination, it was revealed, and mind you, I did not tell him anything that was going on. It was revealed that, yeah, like, someone's doing something after you because of your new title. And I was like, why? Like, I don't care. I'm not getting paid for this. So like, why would anyone like want to attack me? So that's that. We don't need to go into details as to what I did and stuff. that happened. That's when I found out, oh, you know, like, you got some serious haters, you need to be careful. But like I said, I never truly, like, I wasn't worried. You know, I still will go to ceremonies. I was still in the same room with people who I knew didn't like me. I never cared. I had never disrespected anyone. I had never taken food out of anyone's mouth. I had never stolen anyone's man. Because I feel like those are the three main things that would cause someone to want to, like, harm you. So yeah, never had any issues, never had any arguments, any altercations. Like I said, when I come around, it's always hugs. It's always, people were just always kind. So even though I knew what was going on, I never, you know, like, paid too much attention to it. I joined that house being very open, very naive, very, you know, like, nice, I guess. Because I wasn't expecting anyone to, especially the way that I found my elders too. I didn't go searching. My spirits literally told me this, like, I had names, everything, okay? So my spirits literally told me, so I, you know, this is who is gonna be, you know, like a teacher, a guide for you. So because of the fact that my spirit sent me there, I was very, you know, I was very naive, like very nice. I felt like, okay, I can trust you. And because of the fact that I trust you, whoever you bring me around, I will trust them too. So that's how I was with my spiritual father. Anyone that he introduced me to, or anyone that he had around him, I automatically assumed I could trust them too. Spirits are telling me, okay, this is what this person is doing to you, but when I come around, everyone's nice, you know, the person's being nice. So it's like, okay, do they like me or do they not like me? So years go by, like, they're doing work on me and nothing happened, because I knew at that point they didn't like me. So I was always doing things to clean myself. I was always doing things to, you know, send things back. So nothing happened to me until until I got crowned. Now, at the time that I got crowned, I crowned my head Orisha, which was me going into another practice. Okay, this, you know, everything that was happening was, you know, when I was strictly in Haitian Vodou, and after being initiated, everything. Okay, so now I went and got crowned. Not by choice. Trust me, I would have never, I don't think that myself, I would have had the strength to go through all that sacrifice. I wouldn't. Not at the time. So I got crowned, and at the time that I got crowned, like, I had been, you know, practicing Lukumi for a while. I had been into different things. Like I said, I can't go into too much details because then this video will be forever, and I also don't want to reveal too much. Now, I'm told there are certain things, you know, I have to refrain from, and doing spiritual work was like one of them, which now that, you know, I know it's complete bullshit, by the way. If you are going through that, it's not true. There's things that you can still do, especially when it comes to protecting yourself. So I'm told a lot of things because at the time I'm getting into something I didn't know much of, and, you know, so whatever elders were telling me, that's what I was going by. So I got crowned. And before you get crowned, there's a lot of different things that goes into the process. So, you know, doing my misas and things like that, a lot of things were being revealed about how, you know, people were wishing that it was them. People were, like, jealous. I knew when those messages are being delivered to me in front of everyone, I knew it comes from none other than my own spiritual circle, because of the fact that my friends, like from work or school, they weren't into that. Okay, so there's no way they could hate on me because of that. As a matter of fact, they didn't even know. I I was always very secretive about my spirituality, just because people judge you and things like that. That was back then. So I knew my family, a lot of them didn't know, and the very few members of the family that knew, they were supportive, and they also are not going to hate on me getting into Lukumi, because they didn't know much of that either. They were more knowledgeable on Haitian Voodoo because that's our culture. So I knew it came from my spiritual circle, but I didn't care too. Okay, I didn't care. I didn't make much of it. It's like, okay, well, okay, cool. Such and such is jealous. Fine. That's not my problem. I got crowned in September. March, a lot was going on. I ended up leaving my job because there was a lot of rules that you have to follow, and I didn't, I had all my, none of my restrictions were like lifted. I still had to follow my restrictions. Okay, and I did my best. I did my very best. I'm not gonna say I was a perfect Yabo, but I was a good, Yabo. So I left work in March just because it was too much for me. Not being able to touch anyone touching me, shaking hands with anyone, having to sit on the floor. So, at work I wasn't really eating. It was just a lot. So I left and I decided to just stay home and focus on my spirituality. Now, mind you, I'm a Virgo. I'm very organized. I did not just up and leave. Financially, I made sure that I could pay like all my bills. I had enough money to get me until September, which is when I would be done with my year. So I left in March. I was home. I focused a lot on studying and my spirituality, just connecting with my Orishas, learning about them more and things like that. And then July, my lease was going to end. Okay, now I could have renewed my lease, and like every time, like you renew your lease, they increase your rent. I did not take that into consideration when I was preparing financially to leave my job. But even then, I still could have stayed. Okay, it wasn't by much. But I also remembered on my destiny reading, my Ita, they told me that I would be moving soon because the Orishas didn't like where I was staying. Not that it was a bad place, but it was just, certain people knew where I was staying, and they did not like that for me. So I decided, okay, I'm going to move out because they already told me I'm leaving, so I'm gonna leave. Not thinking, hey, silly, you are not employed and you need to show proof that you are employed to be able to get a place. So I was like, okay, like, what am I gonna do? Do I stay or get somebody else to sign the lease for me? I tried to go that route. I tried to get a family member to sign the lease for me, but they couldn't because their credit was bad. So it was a lot. So I was discussing that with my godmother's daughter, and she said, well, like, why don't you just come down here until you're done? This happened in July, like towards, like, I would say mid-July or towards like the end of July. I was going to be done with my year in white in September. So from July, August, September, I really just needed like less than 3 months to, you know, figure out what I was going to do. So since it was only 3 months, I was like, okay, cool, no problem. What's the worst that can happen? So I put a lot of my stuff in storage, and my other things, like, you know, heavy things like furniture and stuff like that, I pretty much just got rid of them. Okay, I didn't tell anyone that I was moving. I didn't even tell my mom. So like, I've always been a rebel. Like, I've always been, you know, like I was always the type to do things and then tell my parents about them later growing up. As a matter of fact, I feel like I'm still like that in my adult years too. So I moved, didn't tell my mother, didn't tell anyone besides the people I was gonna move in with. They were the only ones who knew that I was gonna move there. But I was always like very active, like spiritually. So I, you know, I was going to prayers and things, you know, every Saturday morning. I would wake up in the morning and go to prayer. And I remember the Saturday before I actually moved, we had prayer. No, it was before that Saturday actually. That week, someone brought up the fact that I was going to move here in front of everyone. So now, you know, my secret's out. Well, it wasn't really a secret, but so now people know, okay, well, she's gonna move to the town. Like, mind you, some people already don't like me, and now I'm getting closer to them. Okay, they, you know, and still I didn't think I didn't make anything of it, because I said to myself, you might not like me, but because you are also a spiritual person and you see, you know, I'm a new initiate, and you see that what I'm going through, you're gonna think twice before you do anything after me. I was wrong. I was dead wrong. So I moved. Okay, that Saturday of that week, I went to prayer, and then after prayer, I was supposed to go back home a whole hour away to start packing my things to move down. So the camera got cut off. So the temple and the Botanica was like in the same building. Okay, it was at an intersection. Okay, that Saturday after prayer, everyone left. Okay, everyone left, and it was just a few of us there. It was my spiritual mother, myself, and another spiritual sister of mine, who also happened to be my cousin, that we didn't know of each other until, you know, I joined the house and we found out we're from the same town. So it was the three of us that were left. Everyone left. So I get in my car to go home to start getting my things. There's an intersection, right? The store and the temple is at intersection. So there's a stop sign. My car is like, I'm at the stop sign. I stopped. Okay, I'm not moving at all. I stopped to wait for traffic so I could make that right. There was a car coming on the street opposite of me, and literally just came right onto me. And that was the first car accident that I got like into. And like, it was bad. It was really bad. Like, my car was like towed up. But you know, when things like that happen, you are in shock. You're not really thinking. So but I wasn't hurt. Okay, I wasn't hurt. The car was a wreck, but I wasn't hurt. Thank God. So I didn't make anything of it, you know, but I did notice two people who had left ended up coming back, and they claimed that they had left something and they came back to get it. Okay, no problem. I still didn't make anything of it, my priority was just to find a way to get my insurance to, you know, tow my car and have my car fixed. So, and you know, I had full coverage on the car, so they paid to fix the car. Of course I had to pay the deductible, which also was not on my financial planning that I did for the time that I am unemployed. Okay, and so they fixed my car, some unnecessary spending on my part, and you know, I had a rental, so I was like, okay, well, whatever. So that happened. I was like, okay, cool. And then I got hit again. Right after getting my car back, maybe like within a few days, I got hit again. Like, I just kept getting into car accidents. And I'm like, what the? Now, mind you, at that point, I had lost everything, okay? I no longer have an apartment. My relationship was going to shit. I had no apartment, had no job. The only thing that I had left, I can't even say it was mine because I was still making payments on the car. It wasn't paid off. But the only thing I had left was really my car and some of my clothes, which I still had like in the storage. But I had lost everything. Everything that was in my apartment were gone. So, you know, I'm in a space where mentally I'm already stressed because of all these things. And I'm wondering what the hell is going on. So even though all these accidents keep happening, I still did not say anything to my mother. But at that time, she knew that I had moved in with someone. She wasn't happy about it, but what's done was done. There's nothing else that she could have said. Okay, so what did it for me was one day I'm inside the house. You know, thank God I had my own room. I had my own room, so I was I'm in my room. And my spiritual brother came knocking on my door and said, someone just hit your car. And I'm like, someone hit my car? I'm not driving, I'm inside. How could someone hit my car? Guys, this is a parking lot, okay? This is a parking lot. This is the road, okay? My car is inside the parking lot. Please explain to me. And no, the back of my car was not hanging like on the street or anything. My car is literally parked. Explain to me how one of the neighbors is driving, okay, to go to her house and somehow came straight into the parking lot and hit my car. I'm like, okay, now that's when I was like, okay, this is it, like I'm done. So I called my mom and I explained to her everything that was going on, and she was like, you need to leave, and you need to leave now. And if you had told me that you was gonna move there, I would have told you not to. I'm like, well, I can't move because I need to show proof of employment in order to get an apartment. So the only thing that I could do was suck it up. I also couldn't do any type of spiritual work because I was not in my house. Okay, I'm not gonna go burn candles or do any type of work. God forbid something happened. I was like, oh, Mimi set the house on fire. So no, I was not gonna take that chance. The only thing that I could do was biblical magic, and that's what I did. Okay, but I had all my spiritual things with me. I never ever leave my spirits behind. Everything else could stay in the storage, but my spiritual things were always with me. So, you know, even though I didn't have like an altar, I literally just had them all stuff like in the closet. So I was like, okay, now my priority is to get the hell up out of this town because people just have it out for me. So I suck it up. I suck it up and I try not to drive unless I had to. Now I'm having to, I had to do so many like expenses that I did not factor into my budget for that 3 months period. So now it's like my money's short, to the point where I had to call my brother, and he shipped me one of his credit cards, and was like, okay, if you need something, just use my credit card. So now I'm literally living off of my brother's credit card. I was lucky in the sense of, my spiritual elders they provided a space to stay. They provided food, because whenever they cooked, I was eating for free. So I didn't have like to spend money on food or anything like that, unless I wanted something like on my own. Then I'll just use my brother's credit card. So I sucked it up. And then September came around, and I finished my year. You have a year and 7 days. So literally the day of my ultra birthday, I started applying for jobs. And I got a job like very quickly. I just accepted the first job that called me, because I was not going to be picky. I just needed money to get out. So I worked, and I know they needed like 2 pay stubs to basically approve you for a place. As soon as I had that, I started looking for a place. So I would say by October, so after working for like just 1 month, I packed up and I left. The way that I manifested that job, like I got the job, the day that I went there, the car just stopped. Apparently it was on a recall, and it just stopped. I had to get it towed. Okay, like a lot was happening. When I say a lot. So within that 3 months period, I had gotten into 7 car accidents in total within 7 months. So you guys can imagine the stress that I was under with all these car accidents, no money, no man. Like everything was just going left. Okay, so after 1 month of working, I got me a place, and shortly after that, I left my job. Like, I didn't get fired, but it was like something just came over me and just said, don't go to work, like quit. And I quit. I had just gotten a place. Now mind you, I had lost all my money. I literally lost, like, while I was staying in that place, I lost over $15,000 in a span of 2 weeks. No lie. Like, I don't want to go into details as to everything that was happening, but I lost a lot of money. Like, I was just like taking losses after losses after losses. So I'm in this new apartment now, and my nose is a little bit up there. Like, I like nice things, so I got a very nice apartment. And shortly after, I left my job, and I know that my rent was going to be due the next month. Now I had to manifest another job because I had no savings. Okay, so a lot of things were happening still, and I called my mom. My mom helped me. She was like, calm down, and we'll go figure out what's going on. So she took me somewhere. We did what we had to do. And one thing that I was told was not to tell anyone things that I was doing, because every time they know something, they would just do spiritual work to stop it. I didn't take the advice because I don't know, I just felt like there were certain people that I felt like I could trust them, but everyone was very connected, so the people that I was cool with was also cool with the people that was harming me. So when I shared something with one person, then it will get back to the people that didn't like me. And the more work that I was doing, the more things got better, but it still wasn't up to my standard, because I had a certain lifestyle before all these things happened, and I wanted to get back to that. So I decided, no, my friend convinced me to bring down my head Orisha. So I brought down my guardian angel, and I'm like, okay, you tell me what's going on. And she spoke to me, told me what was going on, and it was not that I did anything to anyone. Like, honestly, people just didn't like me because of other people, okay? Because of how other people liked me, because of how other people treated me, because of my personality, whatever. But she told me some things to do. That's when I really started listening. From September, I'm done with my year, okay? I would say like by October or beginning of November, I'm already in a new apartment, okay? And I've already, although I lost that job, I already manifested another job. As a matter of fact, like, I was doing so much like spiritual work at the time. There's not one time you will come over my house and not find like a candle or something burning. So I was getting so many job offers that I was just accepting anything. And then if I got a better offer, then I'm like, okay, let me turn this one down. So I worked. I got I manifested a job. It was nice. It was cool. But I didn't really tell too many people. Only a few people knew what I was doing. So I'm working at this place, and then I was working at a hospital. And I'm working at a hospital. Now, everyone knows that I was working at a hospital. But because I was told not to reveal things that I had going on, because that's how my enemies were finding out, what I had going on, and that's how they were attacking me, I stopped sharing with people what I was doing. So I have this new job now. I'm working this new job. I'm saving money. I have this new apartment. Within like weeks, my apartment was like fully furnished again. So everything that I had lost I was manifesting back, and they were coming very quickly, and I wasn't telling anybody anything. It's crazy because even after I left the hospital, people would come up to me, hey, are you still working, at such and such? And I was like, yeah, but that was a lie. I had to lie to save myself, okay? So I didn't reveal a lot of things to them. So even when they went to do work on me, it wasn't working because you're doing work for me to, lose my job at the hospital, but I'm not working there. I started manifesting a lot of things, even more than I had lost, okay? But I was still very, I still had a good relationship with a lot of people, so I would invite people to my house and things like that. Now, the place is fully furnished. I'm traveling. I'm doing a lot of things. And I think a lot of people who knew what I was going through, they saw that, and they saw how quickly I was able to manifest the things that I had lost back into my life. So they started coming to me for help.